This is Gary Schnitke, and this is a 5-minute farmdoc daily dealing with lags and cash rents. Over time, cash rents have lagged changes in returns to agriculture and share rent and variable cash rent returns. To look at that, we have a series of data going back to 2020 that includes operator and farm returns. This is a return to farmland in central Illinois and gives a return to both the farmer and landowner. If we're in a cash rent situation and operator land returns is $400, cash rent is $200, the farmer gets $200 farmer return. We also have cash rents, which in this case are the average cash rents paid for central Illinois farmland, share rents, which are 50-50 share rents, which are typical in central Illinois, and a variable lease. A variable lease is a cash rent lease that has payments vary based on revenue, typically. In our case, we're varying the lease payment based on it being 32% of corn crop revenue and 39% of soybean crop revenue. Over the entire period from 2000 to 2021, operator and farmland returns averaged $309. And the lease returns from these three leases were roughly the same. Cash rents averaged $215 per acre over that entire 2000 to 21 period. Share rents averaged $224 per acre, and variable leases averaged $215. But if you look at those returns by period, they did vary. Take, for example, from 2000 to 2006, we had a period of low but stable, relatively stable returns to agriculture, with much of the return coming from government payments. During that period, operator and land returns averaged $191, cash rent, share rent, and equaled $141 and $144 respectively. So very close to one another, and variable leases had a return of $122. Then we had a period of higher operator and land returns, and this corresponded to the period when corn use in ethanol was increasing and also robust demand for soybeans in the export markets. Towards the end of period, 2012 and 2011 in particular, we had low yields, further increasing prices. During that period, we had operator and land returns average $407 per period, and the share rent and variable leases adjusted to those higher returns. During that period from 2007 through 2013, share rents typically had rents that were higher than cash rents, and so did variable rents. During that entire period, cash rents were rising, but they still lagged behind share rent and cash rent rents. We then moved to this period from 2014 to 2019. Our build in ethanol ended. We're still using corn and ethanol, but the use of that hasn't really increased as much as during the 2007 to 13 period. Operator and land returns declined because corn and soybean prices declined, and we had lower operator and land returns, and share rents and variable leases adjusted to those declines. Cash rents did not. They came down much slower and did not decline much at all during that 2014 to 2019 period. And that leads us up to the current period where we're having higher returns because of higher prices. We're projecting a return of $615 for operator and land returns for 2021. That's still a projection, but if that holds, we would have $523 of operator and land returns during those 2 years. Cash rents have remained roughly the same at $280 per acre average. Share rents have increased, and so have variable lease returns, $356 and $339 respectively. Again, those two leases have terms in them that cause their rents to adjust quickly. Where this leads us, though, is that we're likely to see upward pressure on cash rents because of the higher returns in both 2020 and 2021. Whether that's justified is an open question. You could look at that period from 2014 through 2019 and note that there were very little returns to cash rents to the farmer during that period, and 2020 and 21 are a makeup period. It will also depend somewhat on the current rate of cash rents. If you're below the average cash rent, increase in cash rents is easier to justify than if you're above those cash rents. A lot will depend on what prices look like this fall. And again, a lot will depend on whether we judge these prices as being lasting through 2022. I would note here that sharing in variable leases automatically adjust to higher returns, and so if that's a feature that you want in both in leasing arrangements, those are built in automatically to those leases. I would note that causes returns to go higher when operator and land returns higher, and vice versa. I would also note here that 2021 returns are preliminary, and a lot can change between the recording of this video and this fall, so we will see what returns and prices look like later in the year. But it does look like we're having a good return year in 2021. You can read more about this on our FarmDoc Daily article that deals with this, which is linked in the video description.